Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to fold a trefoil knot. Now this is the tighter version of the knot. I taught the looser version in my last video. If you folded that version already, this one is a bit more difficult to collapse because there's a lot less wiggle room in between each of the bends, but all the concepts are the same. I also posted a separate video with practice exercises for each of the bends so you can learn how to fold them on their own before you try to fold the whole thing. If you haven't watched that one yet, I highly recommend you fold along with that one first before attempting this. I'll link to it down in the description. Now this is folded from an 8x1 rectangle, which is based off of a 5x40 grid. So it's a lot easier to measure where each of the creases are if you use a sheet that's 20, 40, 60, or 80 inches or centimeters. It just makes the measurements a lot easier, but you could fold it from any rectangle that's 8x1. I have a link down in the description to a crease pattern that has the grid overlaid. I've also written out the measurements for a sheet that is 40 inches or centimeters long. Now it's definitely easier if you use a sheet of paper that's on the thicker side. I used a sheet of French marble in the video, and my sheet is 7.5 by 60 centimeters. For that, I just multiplied each of the measurements that are down in the description by 1.5. Now I came across this design online when I was trying to track down the original designer of the looser version of the trefoil knot, and then I just stumbled upon this one. It was on a blog post called A Non-Trivial Knot by the author Siggy. I'll link to that down below. But it looked like he used multiple sheets to fold his, so I wanted it to be folded from a single sheet. I just took the crease pattern I had for the loose version of the trefoil knot, and then just moved around the creases and adjusted the proportions so this one could be folded from one sheet as well. But that should be everything you need to know. I hope you have fun folding this one. Let's get down to it. So I have here my 8x1 rectangle. Mine is 7.5 centimeters wide and 60 centimeters long. Now I'm going to start by making small pencil marks right along this bottom edge where each of these shorter creases are going to be. To do that, I'm going to lay some measuring tape right next to the paper. But I'm going to make those small pencil marks where each of these creases are going to be. I'll have all of these measurements listed out down in the description below, as well as a link to the crease pattern if you just want to fold from that. Now I'm doing this on the side of the paper that's going to end up being inside. So this is the side that will not be visible in the final model. Now I have each of those marked so I can get rid of this measuring tape. Now from this side of the paper, I'm going to valley fold along the two outermost pencil marks. Now we can unfold both of those, and then we'll turn the paper over. And now from this side, we're going to valley fold along where each of those pencil marks is all the way down the paper. And to do this, you can just start to fold over, and then you'll begin to see where the pencil mark is. And you can just roll the paper around until you have it right along the mark. And then just make sure the bottom and top edges line up with the edges below. And then crease it down. And then we'll just continue doing that all the way down the paper. Now we'll turn the paper back over. And then I like to erase all of the pencil marks, even though it's not really necessary since they'll all end up on the inside and they won't be visible in the end. Then we'll take our template that we have to fold fifths. This is the same width as the rectangle. We're going to use that to fold fifths along the length of the rectangle. So we'll just fold this down along one of the creases and then slide it right over the edge. Just make sure it lies all the way up against that edge. Then we'll take the bottom edge and fold it up to this crease. And then slide it down, fold it up again. And just do that all the way down. Then we'll take this bottom edge and fold it up to that crease we just made. Then we can take this top edge and fold that down to the edge we just made. And then unfold. Now fold the top edge down to the crease we just made. And then unfold both of those. And now we have our whole rectangle divided into fifths. Now we need to start making the pre-creases for each of the bends. These are the two patterns of creases we'll be using as we go down the paper. If you fold it along with the practice video, you should know how to do this. But we're going to start with this set of creases that's in the center. And we're going to start making those creases. We're going to skip this very first crease and we'll be starting that along the second vertical crease. So we'll make this pattern along the second crease, and then on the third crease we will make this pattern. Then the fourth crease, we'll go back to this pattern, and then we'll just alternate all the way down the whole rectangle. So this is the first set of creases. Flip the paper over and it's a little easier to see. Then we'll move on to the next set. This is what we have for the second set of creases. Then we'll just continue alternating those two patterns all the way down the rest of the paper. Now we have all of our pre-creasing done, and first we can fold over each of these outermost vertical creases, and then we can valley fold over on the topmost and the bottommost creases. Next, we're going to start collapsing everything, and we're going to start this from this end that's on the right. And we're actually going to start on the second set of creases from the end. So if we look closely here, we're going to skip this set, and then we're going to move on to this set that's in the center. We're doing this because at the very end, where we have to slide the paper through a little hole and stick it out through the other side, this end will get in the way if we make this bend, so we're just going to skip that for now and do that last. So we're going to start collapsing this bend right here. And then if we look at it from this way, we can see that this side is going to end up being on the outside. So we need to lift that edge up over the other layer. So you just want to always make sure that this When we're doing the bends that are off center, the one that has just the extra crease, we just want to make sure that crease is on the outside. Now we're just going to move on to the next bend. This is one of the off-center ones. Now we're going to wait till a little later to tuck this paper inside. But if you struggled with either one of those bends, I would recommend going back and watching the practice video again and folding along with that. But if you made it through those, and you just continue on to the next one. And then we just keep folding each of these bends going down the line. Sometimes you'll need to move the paper out of the way as you make the bends. Now right here, I'm going to go back and try to tuck this paper in here. It's possible it will come undone at a later step, but these little bits are really hard to tuck in at the end, so I like to try earlier on, and then usually a couple of them will hold in place. Now for this next step, we're going to be making this bend right here. But as we do that, we're going to take this section of the paper and be sticking it through this hole. So this is the most difficult part of this entire thing. The way I've found that's easiest to do this is actually to kind of unfold these bends as you do this. So I kind of tug this back and unfold that a little bit. So it's not unfolded all the way, but I've got it so it can still collapse right back to where it goes, but it's unfolded a bit. And then I'll form this bend. And that bend is mostly formed now. Just need to make sure we have this layer on the outside. And you can see these bends are undone a little bit, but it gives us enough room to stick this part through that little hole. As you can see, I've got that there, so it's starting to poke through the other side. And you see that bend is undone, but as I push this through, that bend will start to form again. And this works a lot better when you're using thicker paper like this. Then I gotta look on this side. This layer is starting to move to the inside, so I fold that, make sure it's on the outside. Press this all in. Just work really slowly. When you use thicker paper like this, it has a lot better memory of the creases, so it's easier for these to kind of snap back into place as we push that through. But there we are. If you made it to here, you've made it through the most difficult part. And then we'll just form this last bend right here. Oops. This part can get a little tricky too, just making sure this layer stays up here. Unfold that again because this keeps wanting to stay folded down. Looks like the problem's actually a little further back on mine. There we are. So as you can see, this can take a little bit of problem solving sometimes. It's definitely not easy. I hope you have an easy time with it, but I typically have to work on this for a little while before it works out. And then we can tuck in this end of the flap. So we're just lifting that layer up so we can slide this area into this pocket right here. And then on the other end of the paper, we have one more bend here as well. And then we can tuck this end underneath this flap. And next we're going to close this up. So if you look at these two areas, this section is a little smaller than this section. We're going to be taking this small section and inserting it into this hole right here, that's part of the longer section. To do that, we'll need to press in on each of these sides. And then move the paper around and slide it right in there. And then we need to just go around and tuck in any of these areas where it's not already tucked in. This part can be difficult also. There's not a lot of wiggle room for this. This one's really tough when it's just this close to this edge here. You got to be really careful. It's definitely not a time when you want to rip the paper after doing all of this work. Now I've got each of those bits tucked in, so mine is all done. And now I can see I didn't fold mine perfectly accurate right at the beginning, because I've got these little holes poking through, but mine still looks really good. It's a little difficult to get those measurements perfect while I was filming because it would get my head in the shot if I looked closely, but still looks great. Now I really hope you were able to fold this one all the way until the end. I'd love to see it if you were able to. Just tag me on Instagram and make sure to leave a comment down below if you liked this video and give it a thumbs up. Also, I do post new origami videos every single week, so make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any, and then I will see you in my next video.